Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the meeting, this afternoon's meeting of the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency. My name is Chris Beitler, and with me today is Carl Estridge and Tim Clare. Together we constitute the board of the Joint Public Agency. The open meetings law, this meeting is subject to the open meetings law, and the open meetings law is posted in the back for those who would like to take note of that. We invite public comment at the meetings, and we do have a time limit notification of 5 minutes. And the only thing we ask is that each person identify themselves for the official record. So with that, unless there's comment from my colleagues here, are you guys ready to go?
Ready.
All right. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held March 23rd, 2017.
So moved.
There is a motion to approve the minutes. The motion's been seconded. If there's no further comment, call the roll.
Beitler,
Yes.
Eskridge,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
They are adopted. We'll move to agenda item number 4, approval of the March 2017 payment register. And Brandon's going to take us through that.
Members of the board, before you have the March payment register for the operating expenditures and also in addition the capital expenditures. So for March, the total operating expenditures were $2,859,000 or $859,254.79. And I'll go through some of the major payments within that. There was a $2 million payment that was made to the Park and Rec Foundation as approved by the board, I believe in January of 2017. There were February payments for parking management to the city of Lincoln for $138,384.80. There was a $23,347.88 for the arena maintenance as part of the budgeted $300,000. That included maintenance to the elevators, fire alarm maintenance, and food and beverage maintenance. There was $181,681.08 to District Energy Corporation for the January billing, and a large portion of that bill is going to be paid back by the private sector. The capital budget that's included for the $26,000, all those are related to environmental cleanup and remediation. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Are there questions?
None.
Environmental, this was all within the environmental budget,
I think that's correct.
so the budget for environmental work with regard to the arena, where did that finish? Was it above or below what we had expected?
I think we're within the allocated budget according to the capital.
And then on the maintenance piece, that was nothing related to the part that was set up for the endowment, correct?
The $2 million payment was the payment to the endowment for the Parks and Rec for the maintenance.
Area around.
The area.
But the
Mhm.
23,000, I mean, I'm just trying to get to,
Oh,
we're not
okay.
double counting.
No, that 23,000 was specifically for maintenance to the arena. There's 300,000 that's budgeted on an annual basis, and then they submit those expenditures for review, and Mark and I review those, sign off, and then bring them to the board for approval.
And then basically all the payments that we've made here, that we got the processes that we went through to get the signatures and approved and everything was followed.
That's correct.
One last question. The BKD report showed 16 million, I believe, in occupation tax last year.
Okay.
And we have a payment coming up in 2022? 2021 or something?
2021, I believe.
Okay, where are we at with regard to the our ability to make that payment, and occupation tax that we have is, I believe in prior reports, we're 8 to 10 to 12 years ahead of schedule on receipt of what we budgeted for on the occupation tax. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Now I lost my train of thought.
Would you go over that again for us, please?
Where do I start? Do I start at the beginning? But where are we at with regard to the occupation tax and the budget that we have in our ability to pay the bonds off?
Okay. I think that's something that I can research and then send information back to the board.
If you could, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, additional questions of Brandon?
Nope, good questions.
All right, if not, is there public comment on agenda item number 4?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government. Was it a special repair for the arena? 604774, or is that what is the general expenditure?
That was a number of general expenditures regarding, I think that's it, maintenance of certain items in the arena. Those were for, I believe, fire alarms, some food and beverage equipment, and
Elevators.
some IT elevator maintenance.
So is that something, unusual or something you would expect?
I think these are expected maintenance items within the arena
Okay.
budget.
And what about 604774 and 604, two of them there, Q3 sponsorship increment for like 300,000-400,000?
That would be the third quarter payment for the sponsorship and for the operating increment to Pinnacle, or to SMG.
Okay. You pay them for managing, is that it?
Part of that, I think, is out of the sponsorship money that's allocated within the annual budget process. And then the other portion of that is for the operating increment that we, through the budgeting process, I believe there's 600,000 allocated in the budget for the operating increment.
To SMG?
Yeah,
Okay. What'd you say, 600,000?
I believe so.
Okay. And District Energy Corporation, you said something about that was with the customers and the arena, or?
The district energy, we pay the District Energy Corporation, and then in return bill out a large portion of that to the customers throughout the JPA district.
Okay. Who were the customers?
I think it would be anybody located within the district, any restaurant or business that's located within the JPA area.
Is everybody on there?
No.
Okay. I could get a list from you?
Yeah, we can provide a list.
Okay.
We can email that to you.
I'll I'll email you.
Okay.
And, let's see. Okay, I think that's all.
Thank you, Jane. Is there any other public comment? Being none, is there a motion for approval of the March 2017
So moved.
payment register?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Beitler,
Yes?
Eskridge.
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
The payment register is approved. Agenda item number 5, again, Brandon will be presenting to us the March expenditure report.
So you have before you the March expenditure report for operating and capital. All the payments that we just discussed are reflected within those reports. In addition, not listed in here, occupation taxes are up year-to-date at 2.03% compared to the prior year.
Questions of Brandon? Seeing none, is there public comment on the expenditure report? Seeing none, we can move, no approval is necessary, and we can move on to agenda item number 6. Brandon, thank you very much. And number 6 is WH 1711, a resolution relating to customer energy service agreement.
Good afternoon, Chris Connolly, Assistant City Attorney. Both of these next items are items that the board has actually previously approved, but they're back today because the development agreement involving the Lumberworks building, or otherwise known as the Liner building on South Canopy Street, was delayed and resulted in some changes in the contract. Now, specifically with regard to the customer energy service agreement, the only change that was made was pushing back of the connection date. We'd initially been looking at connection dates sometime in September of this year, and as a result of the delays and a review of the construction schedule as we understood it, we pushed back the connection dates to November 7th of this year, and that works better for us. So with that, we would ask the board to go ahead and approve it. Like I said, there are no other substantive changes on here. Otherwise, I'm open for questions.
Questions of Chris?
Yeah.
Carl?
So this is connecting to the new building, which hasn't come out of the ground at all yet. So we're
Right.
looking at 6 months, which is pretty aggressive.
Pretty aggressive.
It's
Now,
like-
the full building won't necessarily be completed in November.
Okay,
What they're expecting is that the grocery store, which is on the ground floor, that will be open in November. And they need the cooling to run their refrigerating units in the grocery store. So that's the first thing that they wanted to have completed, and that's what they need the connection for.
okay. So if we have the wettest summer on record and they can't get it completed by that time, what happens?
Nothing as far as we're concerned. We just need to be able to, that's the earliest date that we would need to be connected. And so it's not going to cause a problem if they're late. If they're late, we'll be ready when they are. We won't make the final connection until they tell us to, but we'll be able to connect it right away. We should be able to get really into the street, probably close to the property line, I would think. I don't know if Caleb might be able to explain that a little more carefully as far as the construction is concerned, but we'll be able to do the final tie-in when they say to go.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Thank you, Chris. Is there public comment on agenda item number 6?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Do you have any idea about how much income this is going to make for the district energy?
When you say income, it doesn't actually generate income as such. What it does is the rates that are paid by these customers results in a decrease in the energy charges that everybody else has to pay, including the arena. And we're expecting, I believe, between the inclusion of the Huddle building and the Liner building, when they're completed, that we expect that there's going to be over $100,000 worth of savings on the utilities. We'll see how that plays out when everything is finally constructed and we get the rates actually implemented. But that's what we're looking at.
On the arena utilities or on all district utilities?
I believe that is, I'll have to check that to make sure I have that correct, is whether or not that's only the arena or all of the customers.
But for now, the issue is that there'll be greater volume, greater usage, which will drive down everybody else's costs.
That's correct. That's correct. It doesn't generate cash for the JPA in and of itself, but it results in a reduction of expenses
For the JPA,
for the JPA.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Is there further public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve on Resolution WH 1711?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further comment? If not, call the roll.
Beitler,
Yes?
Eskridge.
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Agenda item number 7, Resolution WH 1714, on a related matter, to approve an amended right-of-way agreement. Chris?
Chris Connolly, Assistant City Attorney. This is a right of entry agreement that was also previously approved by the board, and the DC afterwards asked us to make some amendments to this. This is a very temporary agreement that allows them to gain access to Block 4 so that they can actually construct the main lines leading from the vault east over to the liner building. They had requested that we make, the main change was that we would require them to provide proof of insurance, and they said, well, why don't we just make sure that our contractor has proof of insurance? We're okay with that, and so we made that change. Like I said, this is a very short-lived agreement. As soon as we have the design complete, and the design, as I understand it, is roughly 50% complete, then we will have a good legal description that we can use for the corridor where these mains will run. And at that point, we'll put together an easement that will come back to the board for approval on, that would then give them permanent access to that area. So other than that, I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Chris. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Can I ask, I just want to make sure I got this
Sure.
correct in my mind. Block 4, and what this is doing is taking it from the connector on Block 4 east to, I'm sorry, east, I guess it'd be east, to the liner building.
Correct. The vault, where we're going to start from, is on the north side of Lot 4, most of the way over to the west side. And so there's a corridor along the northern edge, more or less, of Block 4 that we need to have for this line. And that is presently looked at as probably being some sort of an alleyway anyway. We're not looking at putting any buildings on top of it.
Right.
And so we need to give them an easement for that corridor there in case they need to get access to it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Is there public comment on item 7?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Is that permanent?
This right of entry agreement is not permanent, but we
Okay.
do intend to give them a permanent easement later
Okay.
on, yes.
Which is a different,
It's a different document.
and a different place?
No, it'll be in the same
Same
location.
place? Okay, and you'll be bringing that back here then?
Correct.
Okay,
We expect that in the next several months.
okay.
But you got to give that to give them the ability to service it and the
Right.
ability to have that there in the first place.
Right. We got to get them onto the property so they can start the construction. And then when we get to the permanent easement, we want a very good legal description. We don't have that yet. We know generally where it's going to go, but we want to
Okay.
make sure we have the correct legal description. And as soon as we have that from the engineers, then we can put together the easement that will be permanent.
Okay. Probably in the same place, or do you think
Yes,
it'll be?
yes,
Same?
it'll
Okay.
be in the same general location. We just don't know how wide of a corridor it is. We know pretty much how long it will be from east to west, but we don't know what the dimensions they may need from north to south.
And that's for lumber works, right?
That's for the lumberworks building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there additional public comment on agenda item number 7? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve WH 17-14?
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further comment, gentlemen? Call the roll.
Beitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
it is approved. Agenda item number 8 deals with the approval of a resolution identified as WH 1715, again on a right-of-way matter.
Members of the board, Tim C. with the City Attorney's Office. What you have in front of you is a temporary right of entry that would allow the developer for the Lumberworks Liner building to go onto the site and really start their site preparation activities. I think Chris identified earlier in his testimony the rather aggressive timeline that these guys are on to get going. And while we finish up getting a plat approved and recorded and then get closing done in the next couple of weeks, this will allow them to start the site preparation work during that time. So we'd ask you to approve this right of entry agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Chris was the big pipe and you're the little pipe? Is that
I
the kind of
got the
way to think of
building.
it?
I have the building.
Let me save you here. I don't know. So, let's see. There's a closing coming up, is that
There is.
right? We're before the closing.
This would just be before the closing, yes.
Okay. Is that problematic from a legal standpoint?
That's why we do the right of entry agreement, is to allow them to get in there and start the work on the property.
Okay.
They'll provide us with the insurance and the security that they need to make sure that if anything happens, they'll be liable for any damages or anything like that that would take place.
Okay. Closing, do you know when that's scheduled?
I think the agreement says we have to have it done by the 15th of May, so
Coming up.
kind
Okay.
of pretty quick.
Thank you.
Is there public comment on agenda item number 8?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Is there a financial amount there?
We're still coming up with the details on that because the
Okay.
property's being replatted. We've got to figure out whose interest is where, but the sale was previously approved in 2012. The fair market value was set by the board, I believe, in 2016 or earlier this year, at $25 a square foot. So it just is a matter of the area of the lot and then multiplying that out. Okay.
So that they'll be paid?
The
city
JPA will be paid and the city will be paid.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there additional public comment on agenda item 8? All right, is there a motion to approve WH 1715?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further comment?
Just, if I may,
Yeah.
City Council has had this package before it, generally, and it's great to see this development occur, and the housing that's provided, utilizing the parking garage that's already there, and of course, the ever-present desire of downtown residents and employees to have a grocery store in the neighborhood is a great thing.
Absolutely.
I like to eat.
All right, we'll both second that. Without further comment then, call the roll.
Eitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
the resolution is approved. Agenda item number 9, without objection, the next meeting date will be set for Thursday, May 8th, 2017, at 2:30 p.m. in the City County Building Bill Luxford Studio on the first floor. Is that satisfactory with you, gentlemen?
I believe so.
You good?
Yes.
Okay. We're left just with the motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Call the roll.
Eitler,
Yes,
Eskridge.
Yes.
Claire.
Yes.
we are adjourned.